Hello, Elevated Connectors, and thank you so much for joining me today. So, for today's class, we are going to be diving into some mindset stuff. I highly encourage you to begin to really take notice this week of how your mind is taking in your own actions, your own behavior, as well as what is happening or what is beginning to happen as you begin to also take in the people around you, your environment, some things that maybe might not have been so focused in. You might be noticing, especially over this next couple of weeks, that you are getting really dialed into some areas of your life. Well, hopefully other areas of your life that might have been depleting your energy are starting to kind of fall to the wayside, or starting to not be so dominant in your internal um, language and your internal dialogue. So, a big piece of that, and a piece that I want to talk about today, is going to be on what we end up deciding is our most important elements or important focus points on where our mind is going throughout the day. So for some of us, that is going to include the crucial needs being like food, water, bathroom, sex. Like certain elements of things that you are needing throughout your day. However, I want you to really focus in on the more mundane components of your day as well. So that might be doing the laundry, cleaning up after dinner or after you're finished eating. Where does your mind go in those moments? Where does your thoughts and your actions go within the interactions that you're having with others? Even to a certain point, where does and how does your mind, what is the tone that is coming forward when you're hearing that inner dialogue, that inner voice that we all have? So some people have gotten and it's again not a right or wrong thing, but maybe just ever so slightly confused that there is just one voice, and that voice is there, and whether you're aware of it or not, it is directly impacting how your emotional, mental, and even your physical state is moving forward throughout your day. So, with that being said, I also want to begin to really get clear, or at least begin to activate the awareness of how the mind really does start to affect the rest of how we kind of present ourselves in our world. To start with, I want to just offer an example. So if at any time, and again, us all being human, we've all been in a highly agitated or a highly stressful state at some point in our life. That is part of each and every one of our stories. How we deal with those agitated points in our life is very unique to the individual, very unique to the person itself. So I'm going to include this example. Um, I use my own life as an example because obviously I learn from my own pieces. And I'm going to start off with a short story that is about a time when I was quite young. So I came down with an unknown disease when I was about 11 years old. The doctors, my parents, nobody knew what was going on. And even at the age that I was at that point, being a highly empathetic person, I could feel everything that was occurring around me. I could feel other people's emotions, their stress, their anxiety, their unknown, and that fear coming through. So as we go into that mindset and being at that age that I was at, I chose my concept, or again, as I go back and I am able to be in the higher state and being able to go back to that younger stage of myself. She was able to cope with the amount of unknown and fear and overwhelm that was occurring all around her by simply um, it wasn't a hiding, but it was a negating. So it was a defense mechanism that was installed, that when bad things, or when things are occurring that nobody's really communicating, nobody was at that stage communicating to me about, I could just feel the fear, and I could feel it was such an intense, really dramatic way of interacting within my environment that was not in any part of my control. It's my particular way, my inner dialogue that started to form was that I'm fine, everyone's fine around me, everything's going to be okay. So there was this certain, almost not forced, and it definitely wasn't a, it was something that I wasn't doing fully aware, but it was definitely something that I needed at that particular time, because there was nobody. Nobody was saying anything negative, but nobody was offering any supportive support. So I felt very unsafe and very not secure in my environment, and also not secure within my body. I could feel my physical body was very, very sick. And so I had to begin to create a story and a inner dialogue that was my little, cheerleader, for lack of a better way of describing it. So that is an example, and I can go so much deeper into that story, but that's just a little example of, if you think about any time within your life, and it's actually one of those components that we will dive into later on this week, is being able to have our higher self be able to go back in time, and be able to give and create and hold space for us in our younger self, dynamics, or our younger self story, and be able to support that person in that story at that time, and be able to even witness and see how they've dealt with the situation from a very neutral, very, um, observer point of view. Okay, so but how we're going to get to that. So from here where we are to there where I want us to kind of be by the end of the week, I'm going to encourage you to take the next 5 minutes or so, and I'm just going to get you to observe any emotions, any feelings, any sensations, even if they are kind of aches, pains. I just want you to observe the physical, mental, and emotional bodies, and trying, and again, this is an important factor, trying not to make anything negative, bad, whatever comes and bubbles to the surface. I just want you to practice observing what it is, noticing it, and then just holding space for it. So that means you're not going to try to do anything about it, and be mindful, because for some of you, you might notice that to-do lists, and you might notice that things are coming forward in your mind that are making you feel guilty, or making you feel like you need to be doing this, that, or whatever the case may be. There will be a story attached to it. And anytime that there is a story attached to something, you can be guaranteed that that is part of our little ego mind. And again, we're going to be getting really intimate, really connected to that ego mind, and really loving that part of ourselves, because it is part of us. It is part of our human experience, and it's a very valuable part of this life, and how we create and co-create within this lifetime. So once again, 5 minutes. And all I'm encouraging you to do is, it's a semi meditative state, but all I want you to do is not necessarily change anything. That's going to be challenging in of itself. I just want you to sit where you are, wherever you are. And I just want you to observe your environment, and observe your physical, mental, and emotional body, however you are doing in this moment. And you're not going to fix anything. You're not going to start to make a game plan on how to do anything different. I need you to start to understand that where you are, how you are, who you are, is a beautiful, ideal representation of who you need to be in this moment. Okay. So we're not going to change anything. If you start to notice yourself going beyond yourself, I encourage, again, it's just an observation, but it's from an observer state of mind. When you start to notice your mind is going elsewhere, and it's just wanting to kind of escape from its reality, I just encourage you to say, I hear you, I see you. Like, speak to it as if you were speaking to a 2, 3-year old. Okay, very important. You're not going to be getting upset or diminishing it. You're just going to be asking it, saying, "Please come back." And I see that you're having challenges. You're going to be very kind, very gentle, and you're going to just be creating a slight shift in your inner dialogue. Okay, so that's all the homework for today. It's a big one, and again, 5 minutes. So you can put it on a timer. It's going to be 5 minutes every day throughout the week, and we are going to be building little tiny bits on that 5 minutes. But for 5 minutes, I just want you to be, you can move, you can shift your body. I want you to look around your eyes. I don't want you to close your eyes because I don't want you to begin to float away. I need you to begin to be very comfortable within where you are. I want you to feel out any aches and pains and just feel it and open up space. So, what that means, to go a little deeper into that, to open up space for yourself is to simply be a-okay with exactly what's happening. You don't need to change it. You don't need to do anything different. Once again, I said, like, you can move your body if that feels good for you, but ultimately staying in the space. You're not going to be going into yoga poses. If you're making slight adjustments, it's just purely to allow yourself to feel your body more. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with that 5 minutes. Put a timer on it. Don't go any more because we are going to begin to build and begin to make these micro, at the moment, they're micro habits, but eventually they're going to shift into micro rituals. Okay. Those rituals are going to really begin to create a framework for your self compassion, helping you to be motivated, understanding, sympathetic of yourself. And if you notice that you are a person that is always seeking outside of yourself, meaning that you're focusing on others and their well being, or meaning that you're focused on beyond yourself, I love that element. And that's a beautiful aspect of who you are. At this stage, I want you, and it might feel a little selfish, but I want you to really begin to disconnect that for now. We will get there later and further down the course. At the moment, though, in order for us to be our most highest value to those beautiful souls in our world, in our lives, we need to be working on our inner state. Okay, so everything and where your mind might be wanting to go beyond yourself and the dreams and aspirations, beautiful. Hold on to that, write that in your journal. But for this, and for especially this week, it is all going to be about us. And it's all going to be about bringing it into you, bringing it into your needs, your wants, bringing it into your feelings, uh, your physical elements, okay, your mental and emotional feels, and just in general observing your environment and being highly tuned into the observer, whatever that means for you. We will be diving into the description and more specifics of the observer, but for right now, I don't want to camouflage anything. I just want you to see with your eyes, your mind, and your heart wide open and not changing anything. Sometimes it's easier said than done. Okay. Thank you. And I'm just going to leave you with this last little bit of tidbit of information that I want you to percolate with. Okay. I want you to let the words come into your ears and just let it kind of bubble around in your mind. I do not have any control over others. I only have control over myself. I have control over my words, over my actions, my ideas, my belief systems, and the effort that I put into my life. I can be the only one that can control my mistakes and my behavior, and most importantly, my reactions. I am also the person who is in control and is able to present play. Okay. playtime, creativity time, my balance. The only person that can control that is myself. Okay. When it comes to others, I do not have and I will not take on others' actions, behaviors, mistakes, their play or their self care time, whether they choose to have it or they don't. That is their control, that is their choices. I will not begin or try to control others' words or their reactions or their actions in life. That is their choices. That is what they have control over. It is not up to me to do any of that for another individual. In fact, trying to do so is a disservice. It will not only hurt yourself, it will hurt that person as well, even with the best of intentions. So, once again, I am in control of me. I will not try to or will not actively try to engage in controlling another human being. That is not my place or purpose on this planet, in this lifetime or any lifetime. Observe. Go into your observer, 5 minutes, look around you, feel your body, notice your mind. Write down after the 5 minutes, write down any observations that come forward for you. Have a lovely day. Take care, you elevated warriors.